This is coffee number 5. I'm your host, Lara Schmoisman. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to coffee number 5. And today I was thinking about global. I know that everyone is touched with, and without going into politics, whatever is happening in the world, now news get really fast because we're a global world, and it's easier to get information at what's going on in different parts of the world. But also what is amazing about this is that we're able to make a community with people that otherwise we would have never known that they exist. And I'm so blessed because that this way I was able to meet international people, but also I have a lot of my team that they work from different countries. Not only that they are originally from different countries, also that they're nomads and they decided just to work around the world, which is okay by me. And actually, I think it's amazing. But today I want to bring someone special to you, someone who is a world leader. And I don't say this lightly because creating a community that have members all around the world. And as you heard me say many times, you don't understand a culture until you understand what that culture laughs about. And it's difficult to create a community that it will address people's needs from different cultures. So welcome, Shelley Zalis. Thank you so much for being today here with me, having coffee. Thank you so much for coming.
It's such an honor to be here with you, and I can already feel the warmth, the love, and the connection that you bring to your audience, because it's what you exude just even through the screen. So I am having my coffee with you.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Let's have coffee talk.
So Shelley, can you tell us a little bit your backstory? Because what we know about you is today, who you are. Tell us, how did you get here? Who was this girl? What did you want to be when you grow up? Because I don't think that this is a normal profession. What do you got?
Yeah, well, nothing about me is normal, which I think is what makes me unique and special. So my entire career or journey is a zigzag. I think when others zigged, I definitely zagged. It's how I got my name, Chief Troublemaker. I've been very well known to break every rule that has made no sense for me and create the new ones. So I am definitely not a textbook girl. My career is not in a textbook, and I make everything up. So,
which is a very, my career also is a zigzag. I've been all over the place. And I was told many years ago, not so many years, I think 10 years ago, when I was actually trying to look for a job, and I was told, stay at home because you're going to make less money than your nanny. Your career doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What's a career? It's what, I always say, when you love what you do, it's called passion. When you don't, it's called stress. And so, I have always followed my heart. Your head tells you, the rational, what you're supposed to do. Your heart, follow your heart, leads you in the direction of where you're pulled, and so I've always been pulled to, what I feel and where I end up belonging. And so, when I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a flight attendant. So, I was always
you were thinking global already,
which makes a lot of sense. I love traveling the globe, not because it's about seeing things, but it's about feeling people. I love people and, connecting people to one another. So I guess that makes a lot of sense. I'm a 3 million miler on pretty much every airline. And I know when flight attendants get their haircut, I'm like, nice haircut. I'm like, oh, my husband didn't even know, or my partner didn't even know. So I always wanted to be a flight attendant. And, I have made up every business. So I've been a female first in pretty much everything I've ever done. My claim to fame in business is pioneering online research. Have you ever taken a survey on the internet?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm the mother of that invention. Sorry, not sorry. And so I started my career in the business of research, and now I'm in the business of equality. So both of those things did not exist until I created them. So that really was what I did. I pioneered online research. I migrated research from offline to online in a day and age where only wealthy old men with broadband connections were on the internet. So that was 14.4 modems. And then I was the only female CEO top 25 in my field. And then once I sold my company and stayed the 5 years I committed to, I realized it was time to give back with generosity what I wish I had rising the ranks as an only and lonely. And so I created.
It is lonely, isn't it?
You know, I was never really quote unquote lonely. I always, found my way and, succeeded. But it is when you go to big industry conferences as sort of an only woman at the top, and you don't like playing golf, and you want to get your nails done, and the guys don't really want to go with you, and you don't want to just fit in to fit in. I've always stood out, and I was always myself. I always acted like a woman. I didn't pretend to be a man. Sarah Jessica Parker says it best: trying to be a man is a waste of a woman. I always brought me to the table. Was that accepted? No. I was always told there's no room for emotion in the boardroom. So you have two choices: agree or do what I did, give big speeches to thousands, bring emotion to the boardroom. So I always brought me to the table, but I stood out like a sore thumb,
Yeah.
So it's a lot more fun when there's people like you that want to have fun with you. I don't like to drink scotch and bourbon and, gin and beer. And I don't want to go to dumps. I like to go to nice places. Okay. So
I feel you. I'm the same way. It's like the same thing when I'm traveling. I don't want to do my own bed. I don't want to. I don't want to have to cook my breakfast because I am working, or even if I'm on vacation, that's my vacation.
Yeah. And so, it was that moment where I realized I'm going to create something called a girls' lounge, and, to take on the boys' club. The opposite of boys, girl, the opposite of club is lounge. If there's boys club, now there's a girls' lounge. So that was like the heartbeat moment, which I call, following your heart. And when I left the corporate world to create the girls' lounge, and that was that moment where the female quotient emerged.
Let's explain a little bit what the girls' lunch is.
Yeah. So it was, I decided one day I wanted to go to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. It was 150,000 people. I say less than 3% were women. And I was tired of going to these big industry trade shows that were, an ocean of men and very few women. And I want to create a space for women to support other women. I really was always the only woman at these big events. And I called 5 girlfriends of mine. I said, do you want to go with me to the Consumer Electronics Show? And if you know other women, invite them. 24 hours later, 50 women showed up. We walked the floor. 2 remarkable things happened. 1, every single guy's head turned. Like, where the heck did all you women come from? And that's when I coined the phrase power of the pack. A woman alone has power. Collectively, we have impact. And the second thing that happened was I was surrounded by women just like me. We talked about imposter syndrome. We talked about work-life balance. We all had power of the purse, money to invest in each other's businesses. And it was just this incredible moment to be surrounded by girlfriends in business, women supporting women. 50 women turned to 100 women, 100 women to 300 women. And 9-10 years later, we have 3 million women supporting other women across 100 countries, across every industry: women in cyber, women in finance, women in tech, women in media, marketing, entertainment, music, construction, waste management, and sports. And once we had women supporting women, we then evolved from Girls Lounge to Equality Lounge, bringing men and women, conscious leaders, C-suite leaders together to talk about how we're going to change the equation and close the gender gap together. And that is all under the female quotient: changing the equation, closing the gender gap.
So how any individual can join the pack today?
It is easy. There's no membership. There is no cost. It is all brought to you by Fortune 500 companies, where we collaborate together. So everyone works together to create these spaces at big industry conferences. And so you will see pop-up equality lounges at the biggest conferences around the world, from CES to Cannes Lions to South by Southwest to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, to most recently, we just came from the G20, to NBA All-Star, to wherever there's a big industry conference, to RSA for cybersecurity, to next area is automotive, to wherever there's big conferences that are predominantly male-dominated conferences, you will find an equality lounge. And so pre-COVID, we were doing upwards of 70 lounges a year. The other area that we're in is in the content space, in the media space. We have over 1 million followers on Instagram, all organic. We have over 350,000 followers on LinkedIn. We're a top voice for women in LinkedIn. We're across every channel. And then we also provide research in this space. And then we advise Fortune 500 CEOs on how to close the gender gap through an initiative called The Flipping Point, which is all around conscious mindset and intentional action for change.
I love about this, about intentional actions. Can we deep dive on that? Because I think that a lot of people are, my dad always has saying, I'm going to try to translate it as good as I can in English, that he says that we measure the interest by how people action, the action of the people. That if you're interested in something, you action, you have an action for it. If you don't, you just sit down. Yeah. If you're interested, you go for it. But things need to be.
Me gustó mucho su padre.
Well, let me say it in Spanish. El interés es la medida de las acciones.
Es la verdad.
Es la verdad. And so my father will be very proud of me. But anyway, that I'm quoting him. Anyway, I feel like there is a lack of intention many times as we grow as a CEO or growing in our career. We just do things because that's what I was supposed to do. I have an issue with the growth in your career that I see a lot of people trying to grow into management because it's the only way that they think that they can grow, instead of growing by skills. To me, that's a big, big issue that we have in our world. And I feel like we need to intentionally grow in what we know that is our best qualities.
People, I really can't stand when people make pledges. Pledges is you say you're going to do something. I pledge,
just do it.
There's no such thing as trying.
Yeah.
You're either going to do it or you're not. And, the World Economic Forum says it's going to take 131 years to close the gender gap. What?
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to hear.
Where are you going to be? And why? The gender gap is a mindset gap. It is we have the data. We created the internet in 25 years. We sent men to the moon in 10, should have been women if we had spaces. And we created a vaccine in 1 year for COVID.
Yeah.
How hard is it to pay Sally the same as Peter?
It's
How
just
hard is it to put women in leadership? This is all about conscious choice.
But also, I think it's our woman as women in this case, on individuals, because I see that a lot of men are also suffering, that they don't know how to grow themselves.
Yeah, this is not, and that's why I said, this is not about men are bad, women are good. We should not be taking power from men to give to women.
Exactly.
This is about creating a space, in the work environment that everyone can thrive, but everyone should have the equal opportunity to thrive.
Absolutely. But also I think that depends on each individual. That, for example, my group in college, they were all men and me. I never felt a little different, but because I was and I perform as each one of them, or better in some regards. I didn't let anyone tell me, and I was in my first degree is in screenwriting, my second degree is in production and direction of television. So you had to be really, I mean, you guys know my age. So back then, being a woman, if you didn't have that action, if you don't show that you were able to do it, you will fail.
Of course, don't give me a handout. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for equal opportunity. And so, one of the biggest challenges in the workplace is caregiving. And caregiving is still predominantly a female issue. And so there are things that do, and by the way, one of the things that we do have to start doing is, sharing responsibility at home goes a long way to equal opportunity in the workplace. So a lot of it is with your partner when it is at that stage, because we lose a lot of great women in the messy middle, in middle management. So a lot of it starts at home. If you both want to have dual income, then start having that conversation at home. But it also is, if it's long hours required and travel, and with maternity leave and elective paternity leave, men tend to not take paternity leave because they think it shows a sign of weakness. So
is it weakness or is it fear?
Well, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what it is. It's something. And what happens is the pay gap starts in two places. One, at the first promotion, because men ask for it, women don't, and men negotiate better than women. So that has to stop. Why should companies not be just enforcing equal pay or giving the promotions and not having the negotiation phase, because we know that women are not as great at negotiating than men. And the second is at the maternity leave place. So unless we are just going to give women the promotion, knowing that men don't take it and it's not mandatory for men and for women, then just give the women the promotion when they take maternity leave, so that we don't miss that moment. So that we don't have to keep catching up, because we know that women never catch up. So
but
there
also,
are fixes.
But there are also skills. That last week I was touring a college with my son, and the tour was one more college. There was one thing that stood out for me in that program. Everyone in this program needs to learn how to pitch.
Yes.
And I was, wow, this is something that we should learn early on in our life. We should learn it in high school. We should learn how to pitch ourselves, not only a project, because it's like brand awareness is not about a brand or a product. We are a brand. We are, as you are growing in a career, I don't care who is your personal life. I care who are you as a professional in your career.
Agree. But think about this. And, companies don't even think about this. Imposter syndrome, which I keep saying are made up words, but, men and women have it. Men just in general tend to ignore it. Women let the voice get louder. But think about leadership training. In general, companies give leadership training to women. Not to men. Well, where do you think imposter syndrome starts then? Men don't think they need it. So they start acting with bravado, and women start subliminally feeling like they need it. So they start acting differently, subliminally, because they say, I need the leadership training that he doesn't.
Well, I think everyone needs leadership.
I know, but they're not given it.
I mean, there's any training, everyone needs to go get it.
Right.
I mean,
treat everyone equally.
Yes.
If women are going to get it, men should be getting it.
Yeah. Everyone has something.
Training. Everyone should be the same level training.
Agreed. I've absolutely agreed. And at least what you need to have is the choice of, like the same with paternity and maternity leave. You have to have not that pressure on you. The same that, but
it's not choice, because women, if they're carrying the baby and they have a baby, it's very different. Which, I mean, women need the time, especially if they're carrying the child.
Yes.
It's different. But
let me tell you, I had to take 1 day of maternity leave.
I didn't have any.
Yes, I took 1 day when I was in the hospital, and I was on the phone before I gave birth. My husband,
how old are you?
I'm turning 50 in January.
Okay, so I'm 61. So if that was your day and age, imagine mine. We had 0 maternity leave.
Yeah.
And breast pumps, I just wrote an article on this, in my day were enormous, making tremendous sounds. And there was no way we were doing that in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. But my husband, I have to say, he had a boss who made him feel horrible at the time. So he took also one day.
Yeah.
Couldn't take any more because it would make him horrible. And he knew that he will affect his career.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
And I know that times have changed. I know that we live somehow, and I think it's more okay and acceptable for a man now to take paternity leave. It's more acceptable, but I think that the fear is still ingrained.
Yeah, well, unless it was something that everyone did. Yeah. And that, you know, but why wouldn't we make it just something that everyone does? And so we all followed the same pattern, which, by the way, the best leaders today are caregivers. And we should be encouraging that. The best caregivers, empathetic, compassionate, passionate, collaborative, kind, generous, giving, thoughtful. Like, who wouldn't want that? That's what we should be putting on our resumes. Yeah. And that's what we should be recruiting for and hiring for. And we should be getting rid of the assholes.
Yeah, no, I mean, personality is huge. And this is something I talk to my recruiting team in when they are interviewing. On paper, people can be great, but personality and loyalty and work ethics, that's what I want in my team.
By the way, I just want to say for all of your listeners, it's not just those that have children. It could be caring for the elderly, caring for yourself, caring for pets, caring. Be a caring, kind, nice person, because that is the best way to develop culture.
Absolutely.
You have kind people. I say I hire for passion, train for skill. Unless you want to be a teacher, I mean, unless you want to be an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor. Other than that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and each one, I mean, I respect everyone and their choices in life, and we need every person in this world. Everyone has a role, and every role is important. But always care, always
heart.
Yes, be there for others. I mean, ask them, are you okay? I mean, there's so many times I can see, even my team is digitally, I can see that they're off, that something happened to them. So it's okay to ask, are you okay?
And would you like to have coffee with me?
Exactly. Let's just take a break. Let's take a pause. And it's okay sometimes to ask about the day. I mean, believe me, I'm the first one who wants performance in my team, but also it's okay to take those little breaks and learn about the other, about what's going on in your life, because that learning about your teammates will make you perform better. It's so important.
Amen.
So let me ask you something. I know that we have a little time left, that you have something else coming up today, but the road for leadership for any individual is tough. The growth is tough. And I see a lot of the younger generations now that they're trying to skip the learning curve, that they're trying to go from having a degree to CEOs. I was actually giving a conference at USC, and I had a few of the students approaching me and asked me, okay, so I want to have my own agency. And you're still a student. You have so much to learn. How do you recommend to do it? Work for others, learn what they do right and what they do wrong, and keep learning.
Amen. I mean, we must be the sisters from another mother, because someone told me the same thing and asked me the same, and I said, you are not ready, and you will fail if you don't, get the experience that you need. I mean, they all want to be millionaires, tomorrow, and they think starting their own companies is the solution. And I said, that is lazy, and you're skipping the steps that you need. It's called experience. And, you need the experience first. And the only way you're going to get that is by, learning from others. And
I have to say, I'm so glad that I made so many mistakes in other people's companies.
Of course, you got to fail to succeed. And I said, you have no idea. Just having a big idea is not the answer. You need the wisdom and the experience and to learn from others. And it's the same thing I tell, everyone. working in a silo in your homes is also not the answer. You know, the reason working in an office and around others is so important is social interaction. And, you know, I'm not saying 5 days a week in an office is the answer. I said, but young people do not understand the future looking back, and social interaction with others and being around other people. It's that water cooler moment that matters so much, and not just bringing people on your team day in and day out in this Zoom screen. You know, that's a good surrogate for not traveling all the time, but body language and just little things that you pick up, and jumping in and out of other people's offices, and just listening and learning. And that's why I never had private offices. I always had open spaces so that you can learn from other people that are around you. And I would sometimes just pick up people and say, okay, move your desks and sit next to people you haven't sat next to, and just learn other things. And why I am the Jill of all trades, because even as a CEO, I answered phones.
We're really sisters from other mother, because I do the same.
I pick up the garbage. I talk to everyone. Curiosity is one of the most important ingredients of being successful, in my opinion.
And when I used to teach, one of the classes that I used to do was sitting in a hallway.
Oh yeah,
because
the best thing ever.
Best thing ever. We had the best class ever. It was a brainstorming class. We were all sitting. We didn't have a screen. We didn't have phones, because we were all in the hallway talking, and it was best class ever. And we all interact. Getting out of the normal space make you open your mind. I don't know if it happens to you, but every time that I travel, I can see things from different perspective.
I love watching people. And you just gave me an idea, because I have 28 employees in FQ. I've just decided I am going to do that. I haven't done that in a really long time. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to call it the FQ shuffle. And I'm going to shuffle my teams around for the day, where they're all going to go immerse themselves in someone else's shoes. I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to call it. Y'all heard it here. I'm going to call it the FQ shoe shuffle.
I love it.
Put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, something I started doing a month ago, and I love it. You know, my motto in my agency is 2 things. We break the rules, we raise the bar. So we break the rules because of what we do for our clients and the relationship we have with our clients. We raise the bar because we always raising the bar, but we raise the bar internally. So we have a monthly challenge that anyone can win, and they win pizza. But the other thing that I just started is people can nominate other people for raising the bar this month, during the month, and they get a monetary gift. And at the end of the month, we all, in our happy hour, we all vote for it. And
I love that.
And it's such a powerful moment when someone nominates someone else for something that they did. It's not even about who wins or who loses. It's about feeling that someone else
knows. That. I love that. Gosh, I'm learning so much from you. This is so fun. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, well, tell me how it goes, because I mean, I love to hear people nominated here, other people, to acknowledge, because I notice that we always acknowledging people when they do something wrong. Why we cannot acknowledge people for doing something right? It's time that we start acknowledging people for doing the right things. And before we go, I'm going to ask you the same question that I ask absolutely everyone. That mistake, I believe that from mistakes, we learn that lesson that we would never learn any other way. What mistake is that mistake that teaches you the best lesson?
Okay, I make mistakes all the time. And I mean, so I always say my favorite failures are my greatest successes. But I'm going to tell you one that I've made at FQ, and I have never shared this, but I think it was a mistake. And my mistake was, I don't believe in titles. That's why I'm chief troublemaker, because I think they're hierarchical and I hate them. And I let my team talk me into keeping titles because they told me that this young generation loves titles, and I allowed them to keep titles, and I should not have. I should have followed my heart and not allowed titles in this company. I hate them. And so that's a mistake.
I agree with you with the titles, because what is one title in one company, in the other company means nothing.
What is a VP? What is an EVP? But they said they need them for LinkedIn.
Yes.
And I've broken every rule. And it's the one rule I should have broken, because I start new trends. And everyone to me is a chief blank officer. And because everyone is important to me and they all have the same value. So I should have let them make up their own titles. And I didn't. And I should have followed my heart on that. And I feel it was a mistake.
Well, maybe it's time to change it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for taking a break and have coffee with me. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation.
And thank you for teaching me so much today.
No, same here.
I learned a lot from you.
And to you guys, I will see you next week with more Coffee Number 5.
Find everything you need at laraschmoisman.com or in the episode notes right below. Don't forget to subscribe.
It was so good to have you here today. See you next time. Catch you on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.